Hello, everyone, and welcome to SmashBoxxTV's podcast 299. Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy, coming to you from, my home studio instead of the SmashBoxxTV studios. Johnny V, wow, looks like you're still rocking the kitchen. Were you baking all day?
I was not baking all day, no. I was at work today, and this is hopefully the last week of the kitchen as everything downstairs is set to go to begin construction. I got a whole bunch of vinyl floor planks, and all the humidity and moisture is out of the basement. So starting tomorrow, I'll be on my hands and knees laying down flooring, and I've got 1 week to get it done to make sure that we are in there by next Tuesday. Terry, did you lock up? It looks like Terry's video locked up. I don't know what happened with Terry, but there he's back. Hey Terry, welcome back.
Hi. I had enough of you already. No, I heard you talking about how you were laying down the flooring, and hopefully this is going to be our last week going remote as we see how well it works so far. So tonight we're going to have Jonathan Jomez. He's going to be joining us here tonight. Again, keeping in the theme that we've had for the last 4 or 5, maybe even 6 weeks, we've been talking to various media teams and entities within disc golf. It's great to catch up with everyone. We know that people are trying to find ways to stay busy, to produce fresh content, maybe to help out some of the other aspiring content producers that we've seen in some of our top pros. And we know that Jonathan and the rest of his crew have been very busy, as they always are. We know that they've always been very busy, so we'll catch up and see what he's been up to. Some of you guys already know a few of the things, but I'm sure he's got more for us in store than even what shows up every Monday night on our computer screen. So excited to catch up with Jonathan. We'll talk with him tonight. And Johnny, you, just like me, few household renovation type things going on. If there is a low level buzz, that's because I've got a little tiny fan blowing on me, and I wish I could turn it off, but it's only 89 degrees in my house right now. So unfortunately, everyone's going to have to suffer for that low-level breeze. I think the Freon that was replaced in my air conditioner last year magically again disappeared, and now there may be a full-blown central air replacement. And we know how fun that all. I'm guessing we all know how fun that may or may not be. Yeah, I'm not looking forward to it. So needless to say, it's incredibly hot. And it's hotter in my house than it is outside.
No, needless to say, patreon.com/SmashBoxxTV. That's what we need to say. Patreon.com/SmashBoxxTV. Terry and I have been talking about updating the Patreon, a small little update in the Patreon levels. I think maybe next week for episode 300, we'll talk about some of the updates and some of the changes that maybe, or opportunities that we're going to give to a bunch of our viewers and Patreon supporters.
Yeah, and speaking of which, if my math serves me right, I think number 300 comes around next week, which is kind of crazy. Oh my gosh, Johnny, no joke. As I was just setting my hand on, look what I just found. And it may be more useful than ever. That is a $20 bill, and it looks like it's been washed a couple times. It is crinkled. Wow, I've had a crappy day. That makes things better. I literally just felt it in the bottom of my pants pocket. I didn't know it was there. Let me keep digging. Hold on. Okay, no more.
Congratulations,
right,
Terry.
That's awesome. I've had a really terrible day, so this is pretty funny. It is super crinkled. I guess that's good. These were washed at one point. So other than that, this last week, of course, we've seen some things go on with the Disc Golf Pro Tour. After we talk with Jonathan, we'll go ahead and we'll recap a few of the things that we saw take place, namely the virtual putting invitational that took place over the last few weekends. Of course, that concluded on Sunday night. I was very blessed to be part of that. And in terms of calling the shots on the final show, we had Jeff Spring along with Mo, who was at the controls running the live action. So it was awesome to sit in and be part of that. And then also, I think some of you have seen with regards to the Pro Tour and just disc golf in general, that Bushnell has jumped on board and has become some form of a supporting partner and sponsor. I don't know all the specifics to it, but not only did they help generate a little bit of content with some of our top pros, but it sounds like they're getting really serious about supporting disc golf, and that I think all comes as a component of the Disc Golf Pro Tour. So very exciting to see and to hear in that regard. And I think if it's not tonight, maybe even tomorrow, we're going to see some big announcements coming from the Disc Golf Pro Tour as well. So everyone can stay tuned for what's in store from them. I was hoping we were going to hear some news by today, but I bet you it's going to be tomorrow or the next day. I think there's some pretty big stuff in store. So, all right, Johnny, I gave the information over to Jonathan. I'm not sure if you, since I'm not sitting next to you, I don't know if you've seen him pop in on the call or not, or if he's possibly getting set up.
Not yet. When he pops in.
Okay.
When he pops in, I'll let you know.
Okay. So this upcoming weekend, I just want to quickly preface it, is a very unique experience. And I only hesitate for a moment because I think of the overall, situation of disc golf and the pandemic. But this weekend, taking place in northern Wisconsin, is the Sandy Point Team Invitational. And for those who have maybe either heard about the Sandy Point event or possibly heard, or even maybe more likely heard about the Southwest Team Invitational that's held in San Diego for many, many years, it's exactly mirrored off of that concept. In fact, Mike and Michelle Cousins lived out on the West Coast for a number of years. And so taking from Snapper's original concept or borrowing or collaborating, however they did it way back in those days, they brought it to Wisconsin, and it's been a pretty popular event that's been there more often than not over the last few decades. And so there will be 8 teams that will house 12 players per team, and then those teams will go head-to-head against one another in match play format. The course is going to be set up as a 24-hole course, which means that you'll have a 12-hole match against the other 7 teams that are there. And then there's going to be a finals that will take place on Sunday afternoon. So that's something that's kind of gearing up. And there was obviously some hesitation about, bringing people to a specific location. And I think with all the social distancing and other, precautions and policies, and with how things have gone relatively well here in Wisconsin, all of that's kind of factored into them for.
I think Terry's saying it's factored into them moving forward with the event. It's an event that I have played a few times. I hosted a team once, twice, something like that, and I was part of a team that actually won the event the first year it came back after its hiatus. And it was it's a fun event. There's you've got 5 open, like 2 advanced, 2 masters, a grandmaster, and an FPO, I believe, something along those lines. And ultimately, it is it's a great get together. There's not a big payout in the end, but it's more about the camaraderie in the Midwest and bringing everybody together.
Yeah, sorry, Johnny. I realized that I must have cut out on you as I was setting up, as you were just describing more of the team event. Really fun atmosphere. I know there's a little question as to whether or not, having a team-based situation is the best for us. But I think there's been a lot of precautions and a lot of measures that have been taken in terms of, the social distancing and doing our best to still making sure that everyone's as safe as we can. And we're seeing our neighbors, for instance, just to the west of us in Minnesota, they're up and running and things are happening. And the amateur Minnesota Majestic is taking place this weekend, with the Pro Majestic taking place the following weekend. So just like the PDGA announced today, there's more and more states that are becoming more and more open to having sanctioned and unsanctioned disc golf tournaments. So should be pretty exciting, and we'll see how things shake out. All right, Johnny. Speaking of which,
yeah,
I'll just add real quickly. I saw from the PDGA, I'm going to pull them up because I don't want to screw it up any more. I want to announce exactly who we saw add to the list. Do you have that graphic in front of you by chance, Johnny? Let me see if I can find it quickly. I know a few new states were added today to the list for
Oh,
sanctioned tournaments. And I know North Dakota and North Carolina. Let me see who. So I see today Alabama, Nebraska, Iowa, North Carolina, North Dakota, Oregon, Tennessee, and Texas. So I think we're going to start seeing, again, a lot more events that are unfolding and ready to take place here over the next couple of weekends, which is pretty cool. And hopefully everyone still remains as safe as possible.
We did actually have we did actually have an event this past weekend down in Arkansas, in Greenbrier, Arkansas. Tournament director Luke Humphreys. He proudly presents the Back to Go Persimmon Ridge. Boy, Kevin's takedown shooting a John and Nathan Queen, Andrew Abraham Bahena Wheel FPO player, and that was Kat Merch, so she won this one. James Lacey easily takes that one by 4-stroke. And we can go on and on and on. But ultimately, it was a B tier. It was good to get back. We're starting to see these events slowly start to pop up. I think this is one of the ones that the guys last week said that they were going to cover.
Who is going to cover it? I'm confused.
Last week, didn't GK Pro say they were going down to Arkansas to cover this event?
Okay. I follow what you're saying. Okay, sorry. You must have cut out on me for just a moment. Yeah, I think they were talking about that. And so hopefully we'll see some footage of that. And then also in the last few days, what some of us saw out there on social media is the fact that Hannah, Brody, and Paul had come to Wisconsin, not too far from where they crashed our podcast last week. They're just about 10 minutes west of me and of where I live. And then they put together some footage. And I know they had their own battle that took place on, I think, Sunday is when they had a battle, Sunday or Monday. And yeah, I think it was Sunday. And then on Friday, myself and you headed over there, and we had a little battle of our own that was pretty low key. And at some point, I'm going to put together the footage from that. But we had a really good time playing at Ben's house. And I just really wanted to thank Ben Askren for hosting us.
No spoilers, but we're still hosting our show.
Okay, yeah, that's a good way to put it. Because what was the bet again? That they get to take over the show or have the show
Yeah, we're playing for pink slips or something. So it's a fun course. Yeah, of course, thanks to Ben Askren for having us out there. But getting to play with Paul and Brody and Ben, there were two Bens out there. Yep. And you, honestly, and me together, because we haven't played around together in forever, it feels like. What a fun time, and what a nice, heavily wooded little course that Ben has out there. 21 holes currently, I believe, and with a 22nd on the way.
Yeah, we're 22 with a 23rd on the way. But yeah, regardless, they've been clearly working really hard. Some of the tee pads that were installed, I think, were just put in like that morning or the day before. So they're constantly working on it. Ben just got a new shipment of baskets that were delivered. He got some new chain stars that were shipped to him. So pretty cool to be able to go play on a private piece of property. He had his daughters out there, some of the dogs, his wife Amy. It was really quite a family affair for sure. All right, Johnny, I got a quick note on the back end here. Jonathan is telling me that he's getting just a black screen when he's, trying to log into. I'm not sure if he needs to allow his camera. Let me, sorry, I'm going to have to do a little bit of messaging. This is all so much different when I'm at home and not sitting next to you. He said he's just getting a black screen. So I apologize. I'm going to be messaging Jonathan here so we can make sure that we can get him going.
It says it does say he's logged in currently. So
maybe you're getting audio but not necessarily video from him, and if that's the case, as I just instructed him, he might just
Well,
need Chrome to allow his camera, Chrome to access his camera. I think we threw him for
or reload.
a wrench here by throwing him vMix at the last moment. So that's on us.
Yeah, because this is our backup streamer. Skype doesn't really work on this server.
Mm.
It's out in the cloud, so we're relying on the vMix call, which is a WebRTC version. It's basically like Skype with that doesn't require any application. Everything goes through Chrome to connect, and I mean he connected to the system, but I do not see any audio or video from him. So
Yeah, so maybe we'll just have to make sure that give access. I'm going to message him quickly to. This is why we do it live.
I know.
Camera.
I was just lamenting Terry that he that he comes on like, and it doesn't matter if he has everything set up or not. He likes to come in about 4 minutes before we go live, and then if there's a problem, it's like ah. But
no, and even funnier, tonight I
roll.
was actually well in advance and ready to go. The problem is I was ready to go on Skype. And so I had been sitting here for literally 15 minutes and I was just kind of waiting for you to dial me up. I had called you on Skype and I'm all ready to go. The picture looks good. My camera setup looks good. Everything looks good to go. And at that point is when I recall, oh yeah, we don't necessarily go that route. So that's why at 2 minutes before the show starts, everything is getting flopped around in another direction. So I also want to quickly, while we're hopefully going to get that figured out, I do want to quickly talk. I got a message from one Alan Risley today, and I want to make sure that I can, hopefully it's public enough information that he doesn't mind that I share it. He sent us some information regarding the challenge at Goat Hill. And so I want to see if I can find it and confirm exactly what he had said to us. I know he's trying to move forward with the event as best as he can, and his exact wording was, let me make sure there's no disclaimers on it here. He says he's going to be running a 3-day MPO FPO portion of the event, Thursday through Sunday, the 18th through the 20th, and he is still working on the sanctioning information. As we are kind of just talked about, PDGA, the state government, the local government, municipalities, all of those have to kind of coincide in order for it to be running on all cylinders. But it sounds like he is hoping that it still be part of the Silver Series for the Disc Golf Pro Tour for the points. And it looks like there will still be 5 USDGC spots. So, of course, very crucial and something people very much look forward to. But it could have 5 USDGC spots. And it looks like right now they're planning on CCDG for coverage, obviously being right there. So that makes sense. Again, now he's clarifies Thursday through Saturday, June 18th through the 20th. The golf course would not give us tee times on Sunday. So that's why they're doing Thursday through Saturday. So, Alan, I hope I've done you justice there and given you the information as best as I can as we're looking at that being about 3 weeks out. And Alan is out on the board. So if you guys have questions and you're on the board, you could certainly reach out to him directly. But as he's yelling at us, Thursday through Saturday. So Thursday, Friday, Saturday, along with CCDG on the coverage. He also said payout will follow the COVID-19 A-tier standards. And real quickly,
Terry likes to lock up. I'm not sure what's going on his side. Oh, I know what's happening. Terry's a moron. So we have a special call number, and he gave Jomez the same call number he gave himself. What a goon. So that's why he keeps getting kicked off, because Jomez is trying to log on to his. Terry. Sorry about this, folks. It's what happens when you leave Terry in charge of stuff. All right, Terry, feel free to reconnect at any time. There's Jonathan Jomez. I see him. Awesome. Now, as soon as I get Terry back, we'll bring Jonathan in. Hey, Terry, you know what helps? When you give Jonathan the correct number and not the same
Oh, okay.
Phoenix number you have. Yeah, so
Oh,
that's
well,
why
that
you
might
kept getting
well.
disconnected, because he was trying to take your call.
Oh, well,
Seriously. I
Jonathan.
don't know why.
Gosh, Jonathan, why didn't you just
So,
tell me to do it right? That's probably why.
even though I sent Terry 2 Facebook messages, I sent him one that says your phone number to dial in and Jonathan's number to
Nailed it.
dial in. So, you know what? We've got Jonathan right now in the Disc Baron Digital Green Room. Let's bring him in right away. Things work out so much better when, yeah. Welcome to the show. Welcome back to the show, Jonathan. How are you doing?
Jonathan,
Hello,
how
can
you
you hear
doing,
me?
man? Yeah, we can hear you, man. How you doing?
Yep, we can hear.
Okay,
You are
gotcha.
all
sorry. I'm
good.
like having to move the screen around. My little red screen on the thing, it was blocking it. Sorry. How's it going,
All
guys?
good, man.
Yeah, good. At the bottom, there's a little icon. I think it's a little square. You can click on that to get rid of your own picture.
Okay.
uh,
All right, there we go. That's better. Yeah, I didn't need to see myself
awesome.
twice.
Yeah.
I
Well,
know.
first and foremost, let me. I will take all the blame. I've got no problem. Everybody can blame me. Things are a little bit in disarray. Everybody's on a different system, working a different route tonight. So, thank you,
Yeah,
Jonathan, for being patient. Thanks for joining. And how you doing, man?
I'm doing well. Thank you. Thanks for having me on, guys.
So one of the, I'll say, themes that we've been rolling with for the last few weeks is talking to our fellow media teams. We've had such great conversations, not only learning about their backstories, but then learning what they're doing right now. And then, everybody continues to keep their fingers crossed about what we're going to be doing here in the future. So your backstory is probably a little more well known than most because you guys are so successful and everybody knows who you guys are. But give everyone kind of the abridged version of how Jomez did come about for anyone that somehow doesn't know.
Pretty much by accident. That's the abridged version. It was
Okay.
showing up to 2012 Pro Worlds in Charlotte. Also happened to be the last time the amateur Worlds was, combined Worlds, I guess I should say, with the amateurs and the professionals. And so I was there as an amateur player. I was just playing as much as I could, played enough to get invited to Am Worlds. That was my first year to be invited. So flew all the way to Charlotte and had a great time there. Obviously didn't play good enough to keep playing on Saturday, so I ended up having my camera there on the fairway of the final 9 of the MPO field, and ended up just capturing it with my camera with no real intention of what to do with that footage, and posted a couple weeks later, and turns out it's probably the only complete I guess footage of Paul's first world title as far as the final 9 is concerned. So just like I said, kind of by accident.
Yeah, well, and Johnny and myself, we were both there as well at the event. We had played in it poorly, of course, in the open division. We both played in it, and then I was doing a little bit of vlog stuff, and Johnny was there as well, and that was kind of, disc golf coverage was still in its infancy in almost every format, right? I mean, you got every
Oh
single
yeah.
shot, but that wasn't necessarily commonplace. So, do you ever think about? I'm sure you do. You think about like what that meant for you to go out and be like, yeah, I'm going to record all this.
Absolutely not. I probably took my camera more from like a tourism standpoint because we were going to Charlotte and I wanted, so I was probably off. I don't know. I think I went to the zoo or something. We went all the way to what's the coast of over there, Myrtle Beach. We drove to Myrtle
Yeah.
Beach
Myrtle Beach.
just on an off day or before we started, or had a great time. So yeah, I probably had my camera there more as a like I said, just to capture memories or from that aspect, and then just so happened to uh, to get a pretty important thing in moment in disc golf history just inadvertently. So that's just how it happened.
So the last time we had you on the show, I can't imagine it was that long ago. Maybe last March, if I think so, probably a little over a year ago. Was right around you guys cresting 100,000 subscribers. Does that sound right? Are my dates right there?
Yeah, I believe that was about it. I think it was pretty much last March. So around Waco, because that's when we ended up having our 100K party during the
Hmm.
Waco tournament last year.
So clearly, you guys are continuing to grow. I got to ask, what's the number now?
I know it's
Oh,
over
you don't
190.
know. Okay. Yeah, so now we're
Uh,
looking at almost doubling. So right there, tell us, 2012 to 18, end of 2018, early 2019, 100,000, and then almost double in a year.
yeah, it's pretty incredible. It's something that we couldn't have imagined to get to 100K in the first place. It just seems like such a number that's so high up there when you're starting. And then I had enough people tell me that once you hit 100, it's easier to hit 200 from 100 than it is to hit 100 from zero. And it sounds like it should take the same amount of time, but it's just the snowball effect. So, and it's true, like you said, here we are just a little over a year later, and we're looking at hitting 200, and it's just so incredible. It still just blows me away that, we know that there's some obviously incredible, like massive YouTube channels out there, but just to know that there's enough of a following in disc golf to amass that kind of following, and the fan base just keeps growing, and we still get the comments on the coverage that says, I'm just now finding this channel. This is so great. I'm gonna go try disc golf. I've been playing for like 3 months now, and so we're still getting, still people are discovering the sport, every day. It's pretty incredible because it seems like the more you grow, the more like, okay, surely this is about as many people as we're gonna reach for here for a little bit, but just like every day, it's pretty awesome.
Well, and you think about this, the PDGA a couple years ago crested 100,000 total PDGA members. I don't know if we're at 120 or 130 or 140, whatever it is now. So you think about all the PA members. Of course, not all of them watch YouTube, and some of them don't even play disc golf anymore. But the reach that's out there, and the fact that your videos are literally suggested to strangers, people that have maybe never watched disc golf before, but they're watching some activity on YouTube or some channel, and then through the YouTube algorithms and their preferences in sports or otherwise, all of a sudden your channel pops up, and then next thing you know, you probably have a new subscriber as well. That's got to feel pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we certainly had seen some remnants of that, of people stumbling across our channel and leaving a comment, and that was awesome. But once we had that Worlds video from last year, the 2019 Worlds final round, where it truly blew up and got into the millions very quickly, or at least past a million very quickly, that's when it was like almost every comment was like, "What is this?" Some people obviously upset, like, "Why is this in my feed? What is this doing? This is stupid." But there was still a good a percentage of people that were like, "I didn't even know this was a thing. It looks really professional." I was going to click away and I ended up watching the whole thing, and that's really the kind of response we're looking for. Even just a small percentage of those people that are getting recommended the video just to stick around long enough to like have some sort of curiosity. So maybe they'll look up a course, on UDisc or something, or they'll go to the sporting goods store and pick up a couple discs, or they'll just kind of browse YouTube and see all of the different media companies and all we have to offer as far as a professional disc golf coverage, just to, because I know I would do the same thing if I saw like marble racing or something, and you're just like, that's so ridiculous. But then you look at it and you see like how well produced it is. You have to stick around and at least see what it's about, because it gives a sense of legitimacy to it, where you're like, well, they went through all this trouble. Like I can actually stick around and watch it a little bit.
Well, and there's a couple of things to be said about that. For instance, I mean, and I'll use one kind of weird offshoot example. I was Googling something recently, and next thing you know, I'm brought to this gentleman's website he's explaining something about the stimulus or taxes or whatever. He's a tax guy out of Chicago. But then you click on his channel and you see, wow, he's got 253,000 subscribers. And then you immediately think, well, if there's that many people subscribed, there's something going on here. And it could be something as crazy as taxes, or maybe what seems unappealing or exciting. But then I watch a few minutes of it, and the guy totally entertains me, and it has almost no production value, but it still totally entertains me. And next thing you know, I'm like looking at his old tax videos as he's talking about business applications and things of that nature. So, sometimes when you get, they call it the rabbit hole, right? And anytime someone gets into the disc golf rabbit hole, there's plenty of great stuff to find.
Absolutely.
So
yeah, no, go ahead.
I was just going to say, talk just a little bit then specifically about the World's video and what most of us deem the YouTube algorithm. You kind of course, you have to have great content with a lot of subscribers, usually lots of eyes and likes and all of those stuff. But then at a certain point, like YouTube throws you into this, and sometimes you come out the lottery winner. Is that without dismissing anything about the amazing content, is that kind of how you guys saw that one particular video from Worlds hit as well, or no?
Absolutely. I mean, we've imported everything we've got into these videos. You guys do the same in Central Coast and Par Save and the like. So it's not for a lack of effort that the content out there is, should be seen by more people than we normally would be in front of. But it's like you said, it's just like winning the lottery. Just the algorithm and how it works out, and you kind of, again, that snowball effect where YouTube notices that there's a lot of click-throughs and people are staying for a certain amount of time, and longer than usual, and that just keeps feeding, and so they keep going and keep going, and that's basically how it goes. I mean, we've been able to do a lot of research over the last couple of years specifically on like how all this works. It starts to kind of make a little more sense. You can't force it, but you can at least understand it. And so when it's happening, you can kind of say like, how do I give myself the best shot of making that happen again? And so we obviously have an incredible team. Juan does an incredible job on the titles and the thumbnails and stuff like that, where I definitely don't have the eye for like changing things up to kind of test the waters. But Worlds was just definitely an exception, and that was amazing that it even happened even once. So we certainly won't forget that anytime soon. I think that it's safe to say that there's a decent amount of people that hopefully stuck around and our disc golfers now and our viewers and support the players and by are out playing just because of the reach that those one or two videos got. And that's just awesome to know that we had any part of that, even though really, like you said, it was just kind of a stroke of luck from YouTube and just getting a little bit lucky and getting caught in that algorithm even for a few days.
Yeah, and I want to be very clear to you and the rest of the world, like, you have to put out good content that you're setting yourself up to get into that position. I don't think like I would never be like, oh, you guys are so lucky. Yeah, there is something to be said about that stroke of luck coming along, but you've also set yourself up for that success, so to speak. And so I don't want anyone to think like I'm at all dismissing how incredible that really was. But it is kind of funny, and I know you guys probably even said it at one point. And people are looking, and you see 100,000, 200,000 for your videos, and all of a sudden then one jumps out at a million or whatever you were getting, and you're like, wow, this is awesome.
Yeah, it's incredible. Like I said, it's something.
How many times did you refresh that page to watch the numbers go up?
I know when it happened, like over those 2 or 3 days, once it started, I mean, every 30 minutes, the number would go up an insane amount, like, and then at some point you'd refresh it within 5 minutes and it would be another 10,000 views or something. It just doesn't make sense. You're just like, when is this going to stop? It was incredible. like I said, it's just like stuff you dream about as a content creator and being like, oh yeah, if that happened, like what would that feel like? And then to be like there and just refreshing the page and just seeing like those numbers just go nuts and not knowing like how long it's gonna last, because you know this it's gonna come to an end at some point, but you're like, okay, surely it'll stop at 400,000. Surely it'll stop at 500,000. There's no way it hits 750. If it hits a million, that would be ridiculous. You know, that's what it was, and then it happened, and you're just like, you're just you're just riding it as long as it'll go. I guess it's like a slot machine or something. You hit the jackpot, and you're just wondering how long it's gonna keep going. You know, it's kind of
Ding,
like
ding,
that
ding, ding, ding,
feeling
ding, 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 ding.
of like, yeah, and you're like, hey, if it hits 500,000, that'd be great, but I sure would be fine with a million. So it's just it was cool. It's even if it never happens again, it was just like the fact that it happened at all was so cool, just to kind of have that feeling of what that was like, to get a video that kind of got caught into stuff that some people get every upload. They worked years to get a channel that was that big, where every upload kind of does that. So just to even have a little taste of what that felt like, you certainly want to chase that feeling, um, and hope that it happens again. But like I said, the fact that it happened at all was really cool.
Awesome. Well, all again, it's you put yourself in that position, and so when it does hit, you can't, no one can second guess it. It's awesome. It's good for disc golf. It's good for your channel. It's good for all of the content creators, to see such a success. Now, the last time we saw you in person was way back in March, like,
Yeah.
March, what, 10th, 11th, somewhere around that time frame in
Mhm.
Waco. I know it's a pretty big question to lob up, but what have you guys been up to, and how many? What does that mean? What does your crew look like? What's been going on these last couple months for you guys?
Yeah, so obviously when we got the call that everything was coming to a halt, it was a lot of uncertainty. We didn't really know what that meant. We had a meeting with the crew and just saying like, "Hey guys, we're going to do our best to keep everybody busy. Like I have no intentions of slowing down, like as far as what we're doing. Like we want to, even if it's pulling old footage or trying to find ways to just stay with like the people that we have in our households and make videos that way, just something to keep things going, so that, I mean, we have probably 10 people on staff. Just the way we are going now, we're spread out all over the place, but we have a lot of people working on this, this brand basically at almost daily. And it's awesome. I'm so proud of what we've been able to build, but that's a lot whenever things come to a halt, and you don't know where the money's coming from anymore, and you don't know, like, the YouTube revenue is going to go down, and there's no sponsorship money coming from tournaments because there's no tournaments at all. And so my main goal was to say, like, as long as we can stay busy enough to everyone can still keep getting paid. And so I don't have to like say, hey, I know you quit your job and made a big sacrifice, but this, sorry, this sucks. You have to find something else to do. That was I just knew that I would do whatever it took to make sure that didn't happen. And so, we probably spent a couple weeks kind of scrambling, saying, what can we do? What can we pull out of the archives and to re-edit? I know you guys did the same thing, with those Jonesboro remixes and stuff. That was a really cool idea. And we thought, how could, what kind of stuff can we do? And thankfully, we had shot that one episode, the pilot episode of Jomez in Arizona at the memorial. We didn't really know what it was going to be. We knew we wanted to do some kind of podcast type thing, but like as a video podcast, we didn't know what to call it. We did the pilot episode and we kind of sat on it after Memorial and through Waco. But when we got home from Waco, we're like, all right, we have to release that. We have to at least see what people think about some sort of show where we're just kind of sitting there and kind of pulling stuff from disc golf and talking about life. And like I said, had no idea what it was going to be. And after we aired the pilot, it was a lot different than what it is now, but at least we had something on our hands to say, like, let's see if we can make more of these, because the response was pretty good. And we knew it was just kind of like a toss up. We didn't really know what it was going to be, even when we record, to be honest. Like, we had some talking points for Nate and Germ on that pilot episode, but it was just a lot of like seeing where they were going to go with certain things, which they're so good at when they're talking. They're good at just carrying things and making something out of nothing, you could say, if I'm just saying, all right, here we go, let's see what happens. But yeah, so thankfully we were able to to spend the next probably week or two, uh, myself and Michael researching like how to do live broadcasting. We had no idea what we were doing. Obviously, we knew that you guys had probably gone through the same process when you very first started, and that's why we were like, okay, I know that there's enough resources that we can figure this out. A lot of YouTube videos and researching softwares and the pros and cons of different ones, and of course making sure the internet was going to be able to hold up, and sending the guys lighting kits, and making sure their cameras were going to be good, and then of course developing the show. Like, what kind of segments are we going to do? Are we gonna have people submit clips? Are we just gonna have them weigh in on old footage? Are we gonna have them just respond to comments and, or, like questions in the chat and all that? And it was just so much was up in the air. And just week after week, it was something that we were like, all right, we can roll with this. This is working. We're getting enough people that are interested in it. And it's just become its own monster, I guess. We had no idea what it was going to be, and now we just had our 9th episode last night. We had Paige on, and it was just a great time. It's just become something where we just have fun for an hour and a half every week. We have a lot of people that are just starting to kind of rely on it to be there on Monday nights, the same way that they look to you guys to be on Tuesday nights. We didn't want to step on any toes, so we obviously wanted to find an open night. And I've said it before on the show, but we have respect for you guys because it's not easy and it's so stressful. We're used to the post-production side where if something's messed up, we have a chance to go and fix it. So usually before we send it out to the world, so everything looks so nice and polished. And then live, it's just not the case. I mean, you can prepare all you want and try to check all the boxes and make sure everything looks right, but there's always something going to go wrong. The internet might start lagging, or the software might start acting up, or Terry might send the guest the wrong phone number
code.
to
Yep,
get
yep.
in, stuff like that. So
Yep. I
no,
was gonna
but
get it in there if you did.
stuff. There's just all kinds of stuff, and so the thing, we obviously had a ton of respect for you guys because you do this multiple times a week, sometimes twice a day during tournament days, and it's awesome to see what you guys are able to do, not only just sitting in a studio, but sending cameras out into the field and in different terrain and different courses and different signal strengths and stuff. And here we are just in our houses and hoping that the signal stays strong enough and hoping that nothing goes wrong. And we're definitely, I feel like we're doing pretty well. We haven't had too many snags, and the fans, I will say, and I hope that this is the case for you guys, but the fans are very forgiving when things happen. They're usually willing to sit around for a few minutes, a couple minutes when things kind of go wrong, and they know that it's not the easiest thing to be running a live show. Most of them have an open mind and are pretty sympathetic when things kind of go wrong, as long as you're like, okay, we're just working through this. We'll be back as soon as we can. But it's been great. Like I said, it just still blows me away that we even just had our 9th episode last night. When Waco was happening, we had no idea that that we were even gonna be doing something like this. And huge props to the whole team we have. I mean, Michael figured the whole thing out in a week's time. He basically, I showed him a couple software, and he researched them. I was like, I think we should go with this one and let's do it. And then we developed it, and we went through the program so many times before it was our time to even do like a test run. Before we brought Nate and Jerem in and said, okay, let's test this. We had a few test calls that lasted an hour long to see what it would feel like if we really did it, if we really hit live. So we definitely put a lot of preparation into it. Obviously Jerry, and we got Brian and Kevin and Juan, and of course Nate and Jerem for spending their time, just away. Nate's got his wife and his daughter Coraline. His wife's working all the time. He spends at least an hour, if not 2 or 3 hours, if we're doing a lot of like calls before and after, trying to to make this happen. So it's awesome to see the crew that we have. My brother is still doing the merchandise, and Christina, my fiance, is just working so hard on social media, and graphic design and stuff. It's just the team that we've had. We're just so fortunate to have everybody working as hard as they are to be able to have created something that's like, all right, we can all focus our attention on this until we can get back out there to work. Of course, it wouldn't even be possible without the fans, without people tuning in, and our Patreon and our merchandise and stuff like that. It's something that I'm so proud of, the community, more than ever before, because this has been the most uncertain time since we started, since at least I went full time. with Jerry and Michael in 2017. And to know that like they were there, they had our backs the entire time, and we were able to provide something so unique and new to the fans to get them through this time. It's like it was just this group effort from both sides that I'm so like I said, so proud of it, of what's happened so far to make, and our goal was just to make the best of the situation, and I feel like so far we've done that, and I can't wait to obviously get back out there, but I know I'm excited for even just this once a week thing that we can put all our energy into until that time comes.
Well, and that
So
begs.
that leads me to a question. Hey, quiet, Terry. I'm going to ask a question.
Oh,
That leads me
wow.
to a couple
Wait
of questions. One, being a tech guy that I am, with most of the crews, we talk about like what type of cameras they're using and all this sorts of stuff. What are you using on the back end to run Jomez now? Is it OBS? Is it vMix? Like you said, you guys did a lot of research. I'm kind of curious as to what you guys settled on.
All right, so you had two guesses, and those were both wrong. I'll give you one more guess, Johnny.
Wow.
Wirecast?
Okay. No, well, I was gonna say, are you running it on a Mac or a PC?
Mac.
Then you're then you might be using Wirecast or Mimo Live.
Man, I didn't know there was that many. We're not using any of those. We're using Ecamm Live. There's so many, I guess. Maybe we missed some of those. Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
That was one that we ended up with, and normally I'm not a Mac guy, but that one looked like it was the most user friendly for guys like us that were just getting started. We were gonna do OBS, but it looked like it was gonna take a lot of work on the back end just to get started, and we're like, well, maybe we can transition to that once we get our feet wet. But we went with Ecamm Live because it was quite a bit more user friendly for getting started, and so far it hasn't let us down. The only time it let us down was when we updated to a version 2 quickly, which I'm really surprised that we did that, because people always talk to me about like, oh, my Premiere Pro is crashing, the video editing software, and I'm always like, don't update unless you need to, unless it's just something revolutionary that you have to have. Don't bother. Like if it's working, if it ain't broke, And so we did that. We upgraded to the new Ecamm Live from 1 week to the next on the week, on the day it came out, and it ended up crashing our feed. And thankfully we were able to bring it back before we had to kill the whole feed. But it was like, all right, that was the only time that it really ever went wrong. Other than that, I mean, there's no software that's totally perfect, but I feel like with what we've got and what we've got going, I mean, it's working pretty well for us.
Yeah, there's even a few other ones out there that there's XSplit Broadcaster. I mean, there are other streaming systems out there, but the funny thing is I don't think I've ever heard of Ecamm, so I'll be curious. I'm gonna have to look it up now.
I know all about Ecamm, Johnny.
Yeah, I bet you do, Terry.
It's got a pretty good little community on Facebook. There's like a couple groups, the Ecamm Live community, little boards. So if you have questions, people are really good about being responsive on helping you with issues. And like I said, we only ever had the one major issue, but it was our own fault. We didn't really have to update, and it just wasn't quite ready. And so we just reverted back, and we've been on it ever since, just because we haven't really needed it. But yeah, it's a pretty good software. You should definitely check it out. I mean, you guys are probably beyond like the capabilities of this, but I mean, I know you can at least have like 5 Skype callers on it. Like, and we knew we weren't ever gonna probably need more than 5 guests, so we figured it would work pretty well for our needs.
So, and I'm a little bit familiar with Ecamm myself. My question would be to you, though, Jonathan. I'm going to take this maybe where Johnny was or wasn't going to go. I'll ask 2 things. One, do you guys foresee yourselves keeping this going once the season gets back into full swing? And then 2, did you ever think about kind of your first version, which is to record it and then post-produce it and put it out? Why did you decide to go live as opposed to what you did for your very first episode, which I know is a pilot, but did you consider going with any form of a post-production?
Well, we definitely considered it, and that was my goal at the beginning. Once we filmed it and we released it, I was like, all right, how do we keep doing this? But I think a lot of it might have just been based on the fact that I wasn't gonna put that on like Nate and Germ to like be having to buy their own cameras and worry about lighting, and there's just so much that goes into it without us being there and trying to help with that. It's it's just there's a lot to that, and I think we just thought, well, let's just try the live thing. I mean, let's just see if people want to watch with us, and I wanted to have a good mix of post-produce and live. So you'll see some of the segments, or there's a lot of post-produce work that goes behind, before that, and they're ready to go, and then the guys can commentate live over the stuff, or if I'm pulling like a trivia clip or something. So there's still quite a bit of post-produced work that goes into it. So I really feel like we have a good thing going with kind of a hybrid where it's obviously a live show, but we still get to pull in and control a decent amount of things with the post-produced stuff and some pre-produced graphics and stuff like that. So yeah, it's certainly something that I don't know that we have a choice. I think we have to try to continue to make this once we get out there on the road. I think it's just gotten to the point where it's only been 9 weeks, but it's enough for people are responding really well to it. And of course, we are very thankful that people actually look forward to watching that with us. And um, yeah, it's something that it's probably going to be a challenge once we get out there and we have coverage to do and stuff like that. But I also think that we can really take advantage of being out there with other players, or in the middle of a tournament, or something like that. I mean, obviously, you guys have paved the way for stuff like this. You've been doing live broadcasts at tournaments for years now, and I don't know. It's just something that I think that we have to really try to push ourselves to continue to do. I mean, doing this in the first place was way out of our comfort zone, but that's kind of what this has been all about. A lot of players and media companies have stepped up and done stuff that they normally wouldn't be doing if they were just out there touring, or if we were out there doing our normal gig. But we've all had to step out of our comfort zone and really just try to see what's possible with the hand we're dealt, I guess. And so like I said, I'm really proud of the team and what we've been able to do, and I'm really thankful for the fan base that's been so supportive and been watching and giving us feedback and helping us shape this thing into something that we really don't even know what to call. But yeah, I think that
Well,
we're definitely going to have to try to keep it going once we hit the road. I'm excited for the possibilities there. It's certainly going to be a challenge, but I'm excited.
Well, the
and
biggest part,
I know
the
you guys
biggest challenge is going to be the bandwidth. Obviously, I mean, trying to find a solid internet connection on like a
Of
Monday
course.
night, whether you have to borrow
Yeah.
somebody, go into someone's house, or I mean, we all know from watching post production, just trying to get it uploaded. Sometimes you're at some hotel and you realize,
Hmm.
oh, great, the Wi-Fi is out at this hotel.
Yeah.
Maybe I can burn through gigs and gigs of data on my hotspot.
Yeah. Yeah, it's certainly gonna be like I said, like you just said, a challenge. We all know the struggles of getting upload speeds, and I don't even really know what the number is as far as like the necessary bandwidth to stream a live show, at a good quality, because we've been thankful to have, our internet here, and we're hard lined in, and that's hasn't really been an issue as long as our guests are in good service too. So I don't really know what that's gonna take, but we're certainly gonna find out. We're gonna give it our best shot to keep Jomez going, because people have been really supportive and made it clear that they would love to see it keep going. I mean, we just have all kinds of goofy things that happen every week. We have people in the vault that we go back, and poor guys like Yuli that just end up having to relive just horrible rounds, or we dig up old pictures or footage. Everyone loved Texas guy when Nate had this old Snapchat filter thing that he did, where it was just like this goofy little storyline he'd create with this little guy's character he created, and that ended up blowing up just like way more than we thought. So it's just stuff like that, just throwing stuff out there. I mean, we obviously think pretty hard on what we're going to include every week, but sometimes just stuff happens on the show that people end up just kind of responding really well to. So it's fun. Of course, fails too. Everyone loves people screwing up and hurting themselves or rollaways and stuff. So that seems to be people's favorite part of the show.
it's easy to get excited about watching some other failures. We're all wacky humans in that way. So with the
Yeah.
format of the show, which has been really well received, the one thing that it doesn't seem like it really lends to, and I think it's totally fine because you have YouTube, really lend to an audio only version because you guys have so many references and then clips and videos fed in. Or am I wrong on that? Do you feel like there's any kind of crossover, or do you just direct people and say, hey, go listen or watch it on YouTube if they're really concerned about audio, like an audio only version, which, like I said, I think would be tough for you guys.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm not sure what the question
So I guess the
is
question
exactly. I'm
is,
sorry.
no, well, so for instance, because we're primarily interviews, for instance, on Smashbox for Tuesday nights, it's relatively easy and applicable for Johnny to strip the audio, clean it up, and then put it out as an audio only podcast. But
Yeah.
I'm saying because you guys have so many video references,
Oh yeah.
that's not
Okay.
really like a distribution method you're concerned about. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah. I mean, we certainly would love for it to be consumable beyond just the video. I think it would probably reach a broader audience just because I'm sure you guys have seen the numbers. I mean, I don't know that if you get more audio or versus video, I'm not sure, but just because disc golf might be kind of its own animal, but I think that would probably still have people that want to listen to it in the car and stuff. So yeah, but because we're so video heavy with the fails and the little vault clips and stuff, I think if anything, it would have to be probably condensed. It would probably just have to be cut down to smaller, like
Sure.
edited, chopped up a little bit. Where this is the audio version, so it's like primarily like the welcome stuff and the little stories here, and then having the guest on and the Q&As and stuff like that that doesn't require the video. I think it could be possible, and that's another thing that we just don't even know where this is headed. This is something that we're hopefully going to figure out as we keep going and just keep learning week by week. Like, hey, people really do want the audio. How do we make that happen? How does that make sense? So we're certainly open to finding a way where audio, like an audio version, could still make sense and be consumed by more people beyond just the YouTube version.
On any given week, and I know you kind of rattled through everyone, this very extensive team you have, on any given week, how many people do you feel like have some working part of the Jomez show, like between post and live or whatever? How many different
Yeah.
hands are on deck either throughout the week or even at game time on Monday
Yeah,
night?
I mean, so there's myself and there's Michael and Juan. He's having to moderate all these comments. I mean, the comment feed is just going nuts, and you got people saying all kinds of stuff. Johnny, you know how that goes. I mean, both of you, but I know Johnny's always having to keep an eye on that. My fiance Christina does a lot for the prep on that as well. We've got Kevin. He just joined us this year as a cameraman, but now he's taken on a whole nother role, and he's so valuable on the After Effects side. He's such a wizard with that stuff. And also Brian. So that, and then I think I already said Jerry. I'm not sure. So there's at least, I would say, 7 I get directly involved with Jomez, and then of course we still have like 2 or 3 or 4 more that help us in the big picture with handling merchandise and orders and stuff like that, and the website stuff. Every now and then we'll release something, and if it says the word Paul Macbeth on it, it usually crashes the website. And you know how that goes. But so yeah, there's a lot of hands on this, but I would say probably with Jomez directly, probably 6 or 7, which is crazy to just think about all the roles there. But that's what makes it run so well, because I'm just mostly just talking at the camera, but there's been a lot of work done beforehand to make it happen. And I never saw myself in the role of being a host of anything, so this has been a huge learning experience and a huge step out of my comfort zone to have people just kind of staring at my face for like an hour. I mean, I'm kind of used to being on camera when I have to be for little things before or after a video or something, but just to be here and like trying to run this show, and obviously Michael's next to me actually running the show, but I'm still kind of having to guide it, trying to keep Germ on a leash, because sometimes he can just kind of get gone if you give Nate a chance to talk. You know how it goes. So
Yeah, I'm familiar with germ interaction. So, um, obviously, lots of things going on, a lot of moving parts. What what would you give for recommendations? Now, clearly, every other media team that we've talked to, we had GK Pro on, we've had Ace Run, we had Central Coast. Every media team has not seen some of the numbers most of the numbers that you guys have achieved. So if you could share a little knowledge, if you could provide a little insight to all of us, Smashbox, the disc golf guy, all the other teams, what kind of insight, as you're an industry leader here, what kind of insights or tips or tricks are you comfortable sharing that you could maybe lob out a few, or to someone that's on the board that's thinking about getting into disc golf coverage of their own? Any tips or tricks?
Yeah, I mean, what I mainly tell people, especially with just getting started, is just get out there, just show up, just go out to the course with the camera, especially locally. A lot of your local pros would love to have more opportunities in front of a camera. Some of them even have a little bit of money that they might be able to throw your way for in the bags, and or just filming a local B tier or even an A tier that might not have any coverage. That's another thing. Just look for bigger tournaments that just are kind of more regional, that have decent amount of like local pros that no one would really see otherwise. It's stuff like that. Just trying to find like-minded people that might want to join you on this crazy journey. That's what we did. I mean, that's what I did. I roped in Michael and then Jerry, and then just a snowball of more and more people that are just, you just have to be crazy to be out here. You guys know that, and all the team that you guys have assembled. You have to find those like-minded people that'll stick by your side and that are willing to hop in the car and go across the country for a single tournament or whatever it happens to be. We definitely did plenty of that over the years. And that's a big part of it, because it can get pretty lonely out there if you don't have people there with you that you feel like are with you, that are ride or die no matter what happens. Things get a little crazy, or um, things get slow or whatever. Just helping you to make the best product you can with multiple camera angles, and just finding somebody that's really good at After Effects and you're not very good at it, and stuff like that. So like I said, just show up, get out there, just put yourself out there and let people know like what you're doing, because there's still so much that disc golf could be benefiting from with more media people out there, like I said, especially regionally. um, and then yeah, just trying to see if you can find other people that are crazy enough to want to join you, and seeing what y'all can do together. I know a lot of these teams started that way. You know, Ian, and just finding a couple people out there with him to do Central Coast, and then uh, Gatekeeper. I know, they're just kind of doing it by themselves, just the two of them. But I know they want to find other people. You just have to find the people that fit in that, because the lifestyle is just so crazy. It's just any kind of touring, anything is crazy, but disc golf is just its own thing. But I love it. I wouldn't trade it for anything. It's the fans are always so supportive if you're doing something that they feel is valuable, that maybe you're trying to change it up a little bit, something that hasn't been done before. They're certainly open-minded to stuff like that. So yeah, the good thing is that the disc golf community is very supportive of so many different media companies, and so they're usually going to be pretty willing to check out what you've got. If you put a lot of effort to it and don't like phone it in, and just give it your best effort, and then you're at least in a, I firmly believe you're at least going to get a chance to get in front of some eyeballs, and see where it goes from there.
I agree. I think that's great advice. I think I said the same thing last week on another show. It's all got to start somewhere, and just thinking, well, I don't have I don't have the graphics that Jomez has, or I don't have all these cameras or these people. Like, everybody has to start somewhere, and your story is very
Yeah,
indicative of that. You went out there with a camera. You didn't even really know what you were doing in terms of filming that first round, every single
yeah.
shot. But that was the catalyst. That's what, ignited things and got it started for you. And obviously, look, what it's grown into. So dare I ask, are there any specific goals or aspirations? We'll say even for the remainder of 2020. I don't need you to go too far out, but even for 2020, or in the next couple of years, is there any major goals or aspirations for you guys, for you personally, or for I'll say, the team?
Just keep grinding, man. I know it sounds so cliche, but like, we're gonna keep pushing for Showmez, because it's something that was born out of out of this crazy time, and it's something that we're going to hold near and dear to us because it's just a thing that we normally wouldn't have done, and we got out of our comfort zone, and we saw what was possible by doing that. And of course, there's been many instances of that over the years that kind of puts us in a position where we are now. Another one of our goals is just to get back out there and produce some disc golf footage, because I know that that's what people are waiting for. They're waiting for that competition aspect of it. They've been so gracious to be so supportive through this kind of thing that doesn't really have a whole lot to do with disc golf coverage, and they've been watching it and and shown interest in it. But we all know that this is just kind of something that's just trying to whet their appetite until we can get back out there. So one of my major goals is, obviously when it makes sense, hopefully sooner rather than later, is to get back out there and start providing that tournament coverage to the fans, because we know that's what got us in this position in the first place. So we definitely want to keep doing that, and keep doing it to the best of our abilities. I mean, to keep growing the team, and for the team as a team to get better at what we're doing, and keep providing more value to the fans and to the players. That's really what we're trying to do, is just keep giving everything we got to the sport of disc golf, because it's treated us so well, and that's all we really ever wanted to do, is just to entertain people and to provide that value.
Do you feel like, is there any way you can further optimize your routine or your flow or your workflow or what you guys are doing, or do you feel like you have it as a kind of the well-oiled machine you want it to be, or is there still some room there?
I mean,
I guess
still,
I should frame that in terms of next day coverage is kind of what I'm thinking when I ask that. Maybe you have a different take, but
I mean,
I was thinking in terms
I
of
will
next day
say that
coverage.
once 2020 hit, I mean, we still were optimizing this thing, even when I thought we couldn't, because guys like on the team, like Michael and Jerry and Brian and Kevin and Juan, they're all just getting faster at what they're doing. I mean, Michael is, one day we'll just have him do an editing class, just to at least show people like what's possible when it comes to editing video coverage, because I taught him how to edit, and now I look at him edit and I don't know a thing about editing when I watch him, because he just has taken what I showed him, just that little bitty, like, very basic version of editing, and he's just developed it into this completely just efficient, super fast, product over the years. And even into 2020, he's still improving his speed. I don't know how, and I don't know what the threshold is for that guy, but he is just insane. Not only did he get to where he could do follow flights in like 15 minutes instead of an hour or whatever it was, and now he's just cutting like a madman. Yeah, and that's really what we were in 2020. We were able to start doing. We were able to streamline the process to the point where we were doing commentary at night instead of in the morning, because we were getting to the point where it was ready by like 10 or 11 p.m., which is insane. I never thought that would happen. But that's the kind of team that we have, that just is so dedicated to want to still keep improving on speed. And then, of course, as computers get better and the speed there and internet speed gets better, I really think that that's the kind of thing that's going to keep optimizing this. I'm really proud of the team we have, because they do take it upon themselves to keep getting better and not just be like, all right, we're pretty good. I mean, we still want to keep pushing to get faster and I guess as close to live as possible, until it's just like, all right, we can only have it ready so fast. But you guys have the product that you have, and then we can kind of be there just getting it as close as we can with with the post-production side of it. But yeah, I really do think that we're still optimizing this process, and you could always be a little bit faster, and you could always figure out a quicker way to do something, whether it's graphics or follow flights or commentary or certain editing techniques. So it's awesome to see the team that we've got and how everyone takes that upon themselves to stay sharp and to keep trying to get better.
Yeah,
One of the
and
questions
just
that
thinking
we've
about,
asked all the other media crews is that what is the next investment for Jomez? What's something, or maybe not next investment, what do you have your eye on that you would really like to add tech-wise? Like, you're looking at that, whether it's a nicer camera, better computer, like what do you see right now that you're like, I'll have that soon, or I'd love to have that?
That's a tough one. I mean, I feel like we're in a good place with cameras. I mean, there's always new cameras coming out, but I just don't think there's anything out there that's like, oh, we have to have that. But I probably could always just say computers. The computers could always be a little bit faster. I mean, rendering speeds and handling footage. And as the footage is going to get bigger, 4K and all that good stuff, you're going to need the speed to be able to handle that and to render out faster. And even when you have the final files ready, you still have to spend 30 to 45 minutes, sometimes an hour, rendering out those files just so you can upload it. And now that I say that, I don't know why I didn't immediately go to this. Whatever we have to pay, and we'll just save all the money we can. If there's ever a magic internet machine that we can just take with us and it just beams up into the sky and bounces off 1,000 satellites, that we can just get the fastest possible speed no matter where we are, because I'm sick of chasing hotspots at Starbucks and carrying around my little Verizon hotspots that don't really seem to do any good. That's what I will have my eye on. It doesn't even exist, I don't think. If they do, I'm certainly gonna be looking to the comments to see if there's something.
No.
But we've looked into satellite systems on the RV. We've looked into so many different things, and it's just like there's no reliable option right now other than just hit and miss and trying to find a decent internet speed and trying to get an Airbnb and asking the guy what his internet speed is, if they really care to even keep track of stuff like that. It's just like, it's frustrating. I know the speeds are getting faster, but chasing them down hasn't gotten any easier, really. And I probably sound like I'm just complaining because 5 years ago we were in a way worse spot. But I just feel like with what we have and the amount of media that we need to put out at the sizes and the capacity they are, I mean, I feel like that should be kind of keeping up with what we're doing. And sometimes I feel like we kind of get stuck in the 2 or 3 year like lulls where there's just like, okay, I have my Verizon hotspot, but this isn't really gonna cut it.
Yeah, and
Yeah, I don't think we're
I'll
going to see
echo
any
that.
until the satellite comes out. Maybe this whatever Skynet, Elon Musk satellite thing pops out, and that might not be for another 2 to 3 to 4 years, because 5G,
Yeah.
where we're usually at, out in the middle of nowhere, is worthless because it's such a short range signal. Now, if you can get into the city,
Yeah.
that's going to be a different situation. But ultimately,
Yeah.
for a lot of the places that we tend to be, it's just not there. There is no magic bullet yet.
And I'll just say, yeah, it feels weird that as you guys improve, as we hope live improves, and just anything that's relying on the internet, we have all this great technology, but the bottleneck constantly comes back to the internet capabilities, and whether that's for uploading, whether that's for uploading during the live show, and running a live broadcast, all of those things, we're constantly just still right now behind that wall that is our internet limitations. So trust me, we know all too well what you're talking about.
Yeah, I know I'm preaching to the choir. You guys are probably like, quit crying. You at least have a few hours to find a good signal. We have to have that signal right now. So I know I'm preaching to the choir, but if you asked the question, and I feel like the computers and everything else and the cameras and everything we got tech wise is like, it's adequate, and it's like probably more than we need in some areas. But the internet is, for the most part, just such a huge headache. I mean, I probably never come closer to tears in all these years than issues that come down to internet, because I'm just like sitting there like 4 a.m. just wishing I could go to sleep, but I'm just like watching an upload, just knowing that it's probably gonna crash on me, or it's gonna take 2 more hours, and I got to sit there and watch it, make sure it works. It's caused so many headaches. I would give a lot of money to get to the point where something like that could just be reliable as your computers and your cameras.
Yeah, and it's funny, even a few weeks ago in talking to like Paige Pierce, she was echoing those same things. She was talking about the media crews and all the work, and she's like, and then we got to go find this internet, and like they're, I don't want to say they're just uploading theirs. I mean, they put a lot of work into the Avocado Open, and they did, all these exchanges and data and, everything else. And then she's like, yeah, and then we got to go find the internet to make sure that it uploads. And it's like, yeah, it's unfortunately it applies to everyone. And yeah, that's probably the number one most frustrating thing, I would say, for every media crew. I mean, if we're just being fair about it, like every single media crew would love exactly what you're talking about. So we just got to get like
Yep.
Elon Musk or whatever on it.
Yeah.
Uh,
It'll get there. So.
it will, hopefully. All right, Jonathan. So as we start to wrap up, a great question that I saw off the board and I kind of was thinking of earlier myself was, we visit so many beautiful places. You've been international. You've been all over the U.S. We still have a good portion of this year that I think we're going to see a lot of golf take place.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a consensus among your crew as to either the area or a specific state or course that is kind of your favorite, for whatever reason, your favorite to film at?
It's not going to be a consensus type deal, which is cool because
Okay.
everyone's got their favorite. But I do get asked this question often enough where I haven't been able to change my answer, and that would be the Konapište Castle Park there in Czech Republic that we did at the Konapište Open. That was just such a, I don't know, it just doesn't even feel real when you're there. It feels like something out of like a movie or a storybook or something. It's just amazing. You literally have a castle in the background of this course, and these long rolling fairways with trees, and it's all well manicured. And I even like found a wild hedgehog on the ground one of the days we were out there practicing, and I never even had known like what it was like to see a hedgehog in the wild. And I'm just like, all right, yeah, there's one right there. That's normal. So no, but it was just so awesome. We had such a great time there. I hope to be able to go back. And it's certainly one of my it's probably my top course just because it's so kind of inaccessible, but it's just, yeah, that's probably my favorite. And hopefully get to go back and I can relive that again. But there's just so many courses across the country, even here in the States. But that one just sticks out to me as probably my favorite.
Fair enough, and understandably so. With regard to the rest of the year, I know you want to get back out there. We all do. Give the fans a little hope. What do you foresee or hope, or are at least maybe even planning on being the next large scale event that you're planning on covering? Do you have that in mind?
Honestly, I don't. I mean, we have events that are further down the road that we hope that by the time we get there, like things are back to normal enough that we at least as players and media can attend. But there's just so many. The hardest part of all this has just been the uncertainty, and it's not anyone's fault. Obviously, we're all going through this at the same time, all going through this together. But it's like, hey, we have this idea that we might fill in this event instead of this event, but we don't really know yet. And so I really think here in the next few days, even that we might start to see some things develop and can kind of start making some plans. Because right now it's just like, all right, we have something to stay busy with and keep the fans, looking to our channel for at least one thing a week. But we would love to get back to, 3 or 4 rounds a week and all the things that come along with that. So yeah, I think I would hope that here in the next few days, or definitely within the next week, we'll have something. I obviously have things, floating around, and it's not that there's not talk of events that might happen, but it's just like getting that confirmation to say, all right, it's time to start making some solid plans. And that's been the hardest part about all of this is for us is like how much longer until we can get back out there, and when is it safe, and what does it look like when we are. There's just so much, still a lot up in the air, but we're definitely looking to do it when it makes sense, and just get back out there and show people the competitive side of disc golf again.
All right, Johnny, is there anything that I missed on that you needed to make sure we touched on tonight before we let him go?
I don't think so. I think we kind of covered most everything. I'm excited to see, as I am with all the media crews, but I'm always excited to see how the crews are stepping outside of their comfort zone and trying something new.
Yeah, and obviously Jomez has done just that. Give everyone the plug for where and when they should find it, as if they don't already know. But make sure everyone knows, and then give some shout outs, sponsors, supporters, whomever that you need to recognize. Everybody wants to hear it.
Yeah, so we Showmez is every Monday night. It's usually at 9 p.m. Central. I think we're going to move back to the 6 p.m. Central slot. We kind of have some scheduling things that we work through with especially with Nate, just because everything is pretty crazy with his wife being a doctor and all. I mean, it's awesome that to know somebody that's kind of that close to it, because you get to kind of hear like what they go through, and we obviously appreciate everyone that's in that essential staff and the medical staff. But yeah, we're definitely always um, kind of sensitive to that and the time frame needed for that. So it should be 6 o'clock this next Monday Central. Um, Definitely just the fans on our Patreon and on our website that are buying the merchandise that we have when the discs come out, and the shirts and just stuff like that. And then just watching the videos. As people know, we do get ad revenue from the videos. Obviously, it probably took a pretty major hit because people really love watching coverage, and those numbers were getting so high, as you guys know how that has done so well over the years. And then when you stop doing coverage, you have your diehards, which we love very much, but those numbers are significantly lower than just like the people that are just there for coverage. So we could not be where we are without the fans in any capacity that they want to help us out. Um, and yeah, that's the most part of it is just the support that's come from the fans. And like I said, I'm really proud of that. I'm really proud of the community that's backed us to keep us going through this.
Awesome. Well, you know, we're a big big fans of everything you guys are doing. You're always pushing the limits. You're always innovating, and then just taking another step to improve on the next week or the next event or the next year, whether it's the graphics or the additional cameras and everything you guys are doing. And clearly you've set a bar that when anyone comes into the industry, they're always looking at what you guys are doing. And that's just a testament to your hard work, and then your entire staff and the crew and the long nights and the dedication. And like you said, those ride or die guys that are along with you, and your fiance, and just the team effort that it is. It's really inspiring, I think, for a lot of people out there. So we just have to say thank you. I mean, you guys every week help elevate the exposure and the game of disc golf, and that benefits the players, that benefits the manufacturers, the sponsors, the other content producers. You guys are just killing it out there, and we appreciate you working so hard and joining us tonight to talk during COVID-19.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you guys for the opportunity. Thank you for continuing to do what you're doing without fail as well. I know the fans appreciate just some sort of sense of normalcy and to be able to have that reliability that you guys have also been able to provide. So thank you for the opportunity to come on and for what you guys are doing as well.
Awesome. Appreciate it, Jonathan. Have a great night,
All right.
and hopefully we see you
too.
out on a course soon. We keep saying that to everybody,
Yeah,
but
no
it's
kidding.
true. We
Very
hope to
much.
see you on a
We
course
hope
soon.
so.
All right, buddy.
All right.
Take care. Have a good
All right,
night.
good night.
See ya.
Thanks, everyone.
Good night. All right, Jonathan of Jomez Productions, the mastermind behind it all to get things started way back in yesteryear, 2012. Just so incredible, and love hearing the stories. And again, obviously one of the greatest success stories that we could ask for, but part of the fun that's been so great about checking in with our media crews and teams, whether they're new or industry leaders, is just hearing the same old, which is you got to work hard. Like we might sound like, old cliches, but dedication, hard work, sacrifice, like those are the things that you're going to need, not just in this industry, but anywhere you want to succeed. And I think they completely embody that.
It's first step. You just have to take it. Everybody knows it. You can't just sit and hope you're going to get better until you start doing something. And that's just the way it works. And that's what all of our media crews out there right now have realized, that even if you put out a product that is completely mediocre on all standards, you have to start somewhere. Nobody comes out of the gate with a 10 out of 10. It's just how it works.
All right. Well, again, thank you to Jonathan. Also, thank you. I'll say on behalf of everyone, thanks for sticking with us. Clearly, as we alluded to, looks like I was yet again the the culprit. Is that the word? The villain here in messing some things up. But glad to have him. So I want to check a few things on the board. I don't know if we're going to necessarily need an after show here tonight, Johnny, or not, but I feel like we can cover a few more topics, and then between the heat, it's funny. It's too hot at my house, and it was too wet at your house. Somehow we need to get back to some normalcy here.
It's a wet, hot American summer.
Yeah.
Well, and
Yeah.
you'll be speaking of air conditioning. I think the air conditioner in my car is dying because I couldn't get much cold air, so I might have to go get one of those Freon injections or something for it, and hope it lasts. Yeah, that's what I heard. It's the best way to do it. But there's not really a lot of PDGA news. We know that the PDGA that it's supposed to make its decision in 5 days as far as if Worlds is going to happen.
Yeah, I would say that's the biggest news. It's not news yet, but that's the biggest kind of news that's lingering, in my opinion, right now. Is like you just alluded to, the PDGA mentioned a week or two ago that where things stand, and that June 1st is kind of going to be that official decision date as to whether or not we're going to see a World Championships. And I did get confirmation if the Worlds is to happen, if it's going to happen in September. I think the dates, were the 23rd through the 27th, so near the very end of September, which is just a week or two before the USDGC on the other side of the country. But if it were to happen, that's when it would be taking place, is the end of September. So, Johnny, if you had to guess right now, do you think the World Championships will get played in Utah here in 2020?
No.
Okay.
I'm right now. I'm giving it about a 5% chance.
Oh, that's it.
It's just
okay.
That's it. I mean, we've got 5 days, and I don't see anything changing nationally in the next 5 days, and that is kind of what I feel has to happen. Is that international travel has to be allowed. Because right now I believe it's restricted based on some of the countries you've been to. You have to report, if you were at, somewhere in continental Europe, it's almost all restricted. And I can't see that changing in 5 days. If you told me a month in 5 days, I have a much better feeling about that, but not 5 days, man. I feel like we're going to be out of luck.
Okay. Well, I agree. I don't think, with everything you just said, I don't think we're going to see a World Championships in 2020 taking place in Utah. I just don't foresee that for a lot of the reasons you just mentioned. I still, as dumb as it sounds, as much as I agree with you, I'd still give it like at least a 20% chance. But for any of the reasons that you just mentioned, I could see it still not happening. But I still, for some reason, my gut tells me there's a little bit more of that chance. But just 5 days away, we'll see. Maybe they'll provide themselves a little more, wiggle room and say, oh, it's just still too close. So maybe they'll push back the decision one more week. And I'm only making that up or speculating. Or maybe they will just say, absolutely, June 1st, that's the date we're deciding, and then it'll be finalized at that point, and then we can put it all to rest. A couple people I know have been on the board saying that the Music City Open is that week down in Tennessee. Now, that was talked just a couple weeks ago about how Music City was taking themselves, or not going, I don't know if they took themselves out of the national tour standing, or how that was officially determined, but with the national tour really not existing this year in 2020, the Music City Open is talking about still happening, but not obviously with that same sanctioning. So that event sounds like it's still going on, of course, and I know Tennessee is open again for sanctioned tournaments. So we'll see if that's maybe turns into the place everyone goes, or maybe people will be taking off and they'll be heading, back down south over to the USDGC, assuming the USDGC is going to take place, and then Music City may or may not be in route for our top level players. I guess time will tell. I mean, it's almost silly for us to predict anything. That's literally 4 months away. We have no idea. I mean, I could electrocute myself with replacing my thermostat tomorrow, so I'm definitely not counting on anything after tonight. Anything could happen. No, and in good news, I actually did replace my thermostat today. Didn't kill myself. Super proud of me. All right. Then in terms of anything else off the board, I know some people were talking about other events taking place that are getting scheduled. We see them opening up. I may have cut out earlier, but I know we briefly touched on this weekend unsanctioned event, the Midwest or the Sandy Point Team Invitational. Also, I know the amateur Minnesota Majestic is taking place, and then the weekend after is the professional Minnesota Majestic taking place. I think Cale LaVisca and Jason Wilder, I believe, are TDs for that. That's not happening at Cale's new place, as some of you might assume, but at the Preserve. I think there's something else in the works, but this will be taking place at Blue Ribbon Pines. And I know a lot of people are familiar with Blue Ribbon Pines. We saw it in a lot of big events, but also on the Disc Golf Pro Tour a number of years ago. So looking forward to that. If you're at all a Midwesterner, I know that event is at least somewhere on your schedule or in the back of your mind as well. So looking forward to that in the next few weeks for sure.
And I know we've been doing our media crew update next week. We're kind of along the same lines, but we've got UDisc next week. So we'll be talking to Matt from UDisc, and we're hoping that they have some big news for us, is what I was told. He wouldn't spill the beans, but I tried to pry it out of him a couple weeks ago when I just reached out and said, "Hey, what's going on? What are you guys up to? Blah blah blah." And he would not tell me what it was because he didn't want to jinx it. So next week Tuesday, they asked to be on. So we're hoping that they get whatever updates prepped and ready to roll out for the show next week. And I think we may have another guest next week too. There's apparently some sort of there's some other things going on. So we'll see if we can get another guest on next week.
I think we will. I can think of a couple of people that are could be potentially slated for next week as well. So we'll see. And then hopefully I'm back in the studio over at your place. Things run a little bit smoother when that happens. The one thing that does perplex me is if UDisc is talking about some kind of an update, maybe it's a release, maybe it's some other new project. Do they know I have a degree in information systems? I just feel like they should be checking in.
Shut it down, folks. Terry's dropping his MIS degree. Shut it down.
I feel like they should be checking in with me, just in case they need any, management information systems assistance. I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to say I'm a computer whiz, but.
No, I wouldn't call you that either. No.
Okay.
If all goes well, we're gonna be in my basement next week with new flooring and who knows, maybe new trim. I don't know. Depends how much work I can get done in a week.
They probably won't see. Hopefully, they won't see the flooring or the trim.
Oh, they will. I'll make sure to show it.
We're not doing something right. We're not doing something right if they're seeing the flooring or the trim.
If I put down an entire 300 square feet of flooring in my basement, everyone's gonna see it. Let me tell you.
Wow. That's why they tune in. That's why
I would never call myself a handyman in general, but if I can do this, then that title might change.
All right, and some people are asking on the board. It's a very valid question, and it hopefully will motivate me to get a couple of things done. We kind of talked about it earlier. I probably cut myself off, but Brody, Hannah, Paul were in town. We had the chance to go over to Ben Askren's place to play a round of golf with them, all on Friday. Myself, Johnny, a couple others, and ultimately, Brody. We had Hannah on one camera, and then Ben's cameraman on another camera. His name was John, and then at one point, all of the footage was handed over to me. So. I've simply downloaded it. That's as far as it's gotten so far. I feel like it's going to be, for lack of a better term, messy. There was a lot of golfers, a little bit of chaos, and very little production organization other than us just playing golf. So I'm going to do my best at some point here to try and get this footage assembled as best as I can. But I'm going to pre-warn you guys. It's going to be a little bit messy, but thank you to Hannah and John, who were both two separate camera people with trying to do the best we could to get the footage out there. So you guys are going to have to wait as to what's happening out there for that footage to watch it all unfold. A couple of good battles, a couple of great shots, a couple not so great shots, really by everybody, but all on that private property over at Ben's house. Was certainly very fun to do so. So look for that. And I think as early as tomorrow, I may record some commentary and get some other footage out from bonus footage from 2019, just so you guys have something else to watch here for the next few weeks. So that's already pretty much ready to go, and let's get that out so you can watch it as well.
I'm going to spoil this for everybody. I'm going to tell everybody who won. Paul Macbeth won. He played against the other Ben.
Okay.
And he beat all of our scores. So Paul Macbeth beat us all.
I don't know if I'd word it that way.
He shot the best score of the 6 of us that were in that card.
All right. We can agree to disagree on some things.
I don't know how you can disagree with a scorecard, Terry.
I've been around a long time. There's ways.
Terry's going to pick out the 18 holes where he beats Paul and everybody else. It's like, no, I don't know what you're talking about. There were not 22 holes. There were just 18.
All right. So with that, I'm going to read just a few more things off the board in case you guys do have something for us. I see a comment with, I don't know if that's a reference to Yuli or not, but either way, Yuli's got a new video out. Bushnell has a video out along with the Disc Golf Pro Tour. So we talked about that at the top of the show. So go check those out. Steuben says, Johnny, ask your partner there, Al Borland, to install your flooring. I keep thinking of Tool Time when I see Terry with that full beard. I agree. I think I said that a week or two ago as well, that I definitely have the Al Borland weight factor down, and now I'm trying to do the beard version. Unfortunately, I feel like I'm getting too close, or I'm already there. Yes, editing can tell any story that we want. And Ray says, because of the bet that was placed last week, Ray's referencing and saying that they must not have won. Otherwise, Askren and Brody would be running the show right now. And I know that was kind of what was thrown out there when they crashed our podcast last week. Hey, Johnny, that's a great idea by Ryan on the board. He says a Smashbox TV logo pattern on the flooring. Like we go like NBA style and then get like a big Smashbox logo on the wood. Oh my gosh, that's a clever idea, Ryan.
I saw that comment and all I could think was, that's got to be expensive. Like
we know guys, Johnny Rumble.
Even if you just put like a big logo in the center of the basement and had the rest like a normal tiling, or if you truly went with like a pattern, like every tile or whatever it was Smashbox. Yeah, that would be outrageous. No, I'm going with some
your wife is crafty.
Some vinyl planking in the basement, a light gray vinyl planking. So
I don't know. I'd let your wife tackle that project. If there's anyone that could do it, it would be her.
Miles says that you can take care of that. But
or
maybe
Miles.
What we do instead is we just get a big Smashbox sticker, like the size of a table, stick it down, then we tell everybody it was in the tile, and it doesn't hurt the resale value of my house in the future.
Good idea. Dan Harbeck asked, did you miss Dana? Yeah, we did not have Dynamite. He did reach out earlier. I said we were opening early with Jomez and going to take it from there. So we hopefully will hear more from Dana here shortly. And Dan, reach out to me offline. I don't know if you've got all the stuff that you deserve yet. And that's not too cryptic, but send me a message. I want to make sure that you're all taken care of for supporting us here at Smashbox. Cody says, Super Chat, if Super Chat pays you, would you do it? Without giving away too much, I think Johnny said in the next couple of weeks, we may have some support.
Next week.
We may have some support concepts and initiatives, maybe there's a word, opportunities that Johnny will have all worked up and ready for you guys next week. So look forward to that. And then Zapple perhaps says we need one of those fat heads. I think we've already got big enough fat heads.
We've got 2 fat heads right here.
We don't need that. Johnny, there is a good question on the board from Ray. Are we planning on trivia this Thursday night?
Not 100% sure yet. Right now I'm leaning towards no. We're going to see how much I can nail down the floor. Not, you don't nail down vinyl, but how much I can get done tomorrow, because I'm working from home tomorrow. So, which means I'll be in my basement probably putting vinyl and have my laptop open.
That's working from home.
It is working from home. So if I can get a majority of it done, I can probably set back up our primary internet connection, so we're not on the backup anymore, and we can hopefully make this happen.
All right, guys. Well, I think we're going to call Johnny next week. I think we're going to have 2 or 3 super chats, 3 total to do, right? 3 super chats or Patreon giveaways. 3. Okay.
3.
So we're going to have 3 Patreon giveaways. We got to get caught up with the system being set up on Johnny's end. Things are a little different. So we'll have all of those Patreon giveaways come in a big, pardon the pun, we'll flood you with them next week. Hey-oh. Oh, Johnny's basement. But we'll make sure we get some Patreon support stuff out there as well. So we thank you guys so much for everything you're doing. And on my end specifically, I've been working on my office, and you might see some test videos pop up, whether they're on YouTube or Facebook. I'm going to continue to play around with my office and studio setup here at my house, and I'll be looking for some feedback from you guys on that with a few more tweaks that I'm working on. So, all right, guys, I think we're going to call it. We have to thank Jonathan for not only everything he's doing, but also his patience as I helped us screw up our live broadcast so well tonight, which is why we keep doing live. We shouldn't move to post because we can't do live right. Let's do live right, and then we can move to post someday. But we got to thank them. Also, thank you to the Disc Golf Pro Tour providing the content and the entertainment with the virtual putting challenge invitational over the last few weekends. That was great. If you didn't see it, go check it out. I'm not going to spoil it for you, but you should go check it out. I'll just tell you some lefties are in the finals and maybe win. And I want to thank all of our supporters out there. It's 299 episodes in. Next week, we'll be celebrating 300. Hopefully, we'll have a show that's ready to go for you, and we look forward to providing any content and conversation that we can. So I'm going to sign out. We got Johnny V, Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy. This has been podcast episode 299. We'll see you next week when you step inside the Smashbox.